Okay, so this is stage one of taking the motor out of a Genesis coupe. For right now, the hood is still on, but what I'm doing is I've taken away the fan shroud, taken out the intercooler piping, the intake, the coolant reservoir. Now, if you don't have a AEM cold air intake, you don't need to take it out because it's down there, and all you have is a little spigot right there. But I had to take all mine out. And as you can see, I've been cleaning it a bit, but that's what happens when the your main bearing seal fails, is it sprays oil everywhere. So it's a good thing I'm taking the motor out, because otherwise I'd have to take it out in order to completely clean this whole place up anyways. So going over a couple of things. When you disconnect all of the intake stuff, you end up with a bunch of hoses laying around. But we'll start with the electrical stuff. The first thing you want to do is remove your negative battery terminal. And then you'll have a bolt here and a bolt here. You undo those, and this pipe comes loose. This little metal piece here comes loose, but yours is probably black. And you just let this out, and then I put the bolts back in where they came from. You'll take your RS turbo thing off the top there, which is the 2 bolts here and 2 bolts there. That comes out, and then it exposes all of your spark plugs. So we'll take 2 bolts out here, one there and one back here, and that releases this. And then you undo your spark plug boots by flicking this little gray thing up, pushing down on the clip here, and pulling up, and that comes out. And then you'll do your injectors, and your injectors are just a single little clip like that. Pull, yank out. A pair of pliers actually helps with that too, because those things are kind of finicky. And then you'll start undoing some of your ground straps, like this here. I unplugged my boost gauge is unplugged, map sensor and cam sensor. That's all undone. Took this ground lead off here, unplugged the throttle. All of these get unplugged. This is your cam position sensor, which is up there, and that one there, I think, I don't know off the top of my head right now, but we'll find out when I get there. And then you'll start unplugging all of this stuff here, your wastegate control solenoid. You'll undo this one, which is your blow-off valve control solenoid, if I remember correctly. You undo this metal clip, take that off, and then it just pulls straight out. Just remember to put the metal clip back in there, okay? And then you've got your power steering sensor. You unplug that. When it comes off, it's just this little thing here. It just literally thunk. And you'll unplug this off of that, and then you'll have to undo the clip here to release that, because we're not going to undo that bolt, because undoing that bolt holds this casing together for your power steering, and I'm not taking that out. I'm just unbolting it from the engine and leaving it in the engine bay. If you're Canadian, you want to remember to unplug your heater. Your O2 sensors, you'll unplug those, or you will undo the loom bar, which is back here. You'll undo that from the engine, which you have to do anyways. There's a couple more things that need to be undone. Now I've got my catch cans, so those lines will need to be unplugged and then capped off, so I don't get anything in the engine bay, or in the engine. Make sure you put something over your intake so no bugs or anything go in there. Your exhaust, if you pull to do your exhaust, you'd undo the 3 things, the 3 bolts, 1, 2, 3, that hold that little tinfoil Jiffy Pop shield on. Undo those. And then you undo these, which are 5/8, if I remember correctly. Well, at least that works. And you undo your downpipe or your O2 sensor bolts. My studs just came right out. Undo your wastegate actuator because you actually take your turbo out in pieces. Well, I guess you don't have to, but I'm going to. And then, just to protect the turbo, I've got stuff stuffed in places. And then, after that's all removed, you need to remove the coolant out of your system, because next up after that, we take the rad hoses off. So make sure that you dispose of your coolant. If you're not reusing it, you dispose of your coolant correctly. The crank pulley doesn't have to come off right now. It is a little bit easier with the engine attached, because you can use the transmission to hold it. But I'm going to have to put it back on to set my timing mark. That's what this is here for. Because it has to be to 1 top dead center, which is this one mark here. There's a little indicator on the crank pulley, and you have to line it up with here, and then number 1 is a top dead center. And that needs to be in place like that for your timing, because I'm not actually taking out my cams, but I am taking the chain off. So we'll cover that as we get deeper into it. So if you guys are following along, definitely do not be building your engine the same time I am and following these videos for instruction, because they're going to be spaced out as I have time to do things. You don't need to remove your spark, your coilovers, your coilover plug. You don't need to remove those yet. That's not until we get the engine out. Your brake booster lines will need to come off. Cap those so nothing gets in there. And then you can actually leave that mechanism in, or you can undo it from the brake booster, cap the brake booster, and then take it all out. You don't need to worry about doing anything with your brake system, because those won't be touched in this process. That little black tube there is the only brake connection to the engine. So that's it for right now, I guess. This is all done in a day. You can easily do it in a day to get to this point, but just remember to disconnect this, take that out, because it'll make taking stuff out a lot easier. And to make sure that you get all of your electrical out of the way, because you don't want to get hung up on electrical, because the last thing you want to do is jam one of those wires or something. So yeah, that's it for right now. So definitely stay tuned, subscribe, follow along, check out the build thread on gencoop.com, Project Woodstock, and thanks to everybody who's given me a hand doing this.